Hey, look what I got over there.
A fire truck?
Taylor Swift.
Oh, I can't see it. It's not in your frame.
Oh, okay.
But congrats.
Hello, everybody. This is JVL here with my best friend, Sarah Longwell, publisher of the Bulwark. Sarah, happy
JVL.
Friday.
Hey, man.
Can we talk? I wrote a newsletter for you yesterday. I don't know if you saw it.
No, not yet. I'll catch up over the weekend.
Oh, God, I love you so much. I wrote a newsletter for you, headlined, Can We Just Say That Biden's Doing a Great Job on Israel?
So I did see this, and I read some excerpts of this across the Twitters.
Long. It's like 800 words.
Well, so other people, I retweeted it a bunch. Other people were, grabbing it and quoting, and I was like, I'm going to really enjoy reading this on Sunday morning when I go back through JVL's newsletters.
So Biden has now given one great speech in the U.S. before he left for Israel, two excellent speeches in Israel, one a real speech, one just a set of remarks. And now what is last night one of the best speeches by an American president of my lifetime. Reagan-esque is no joke, like the only comp I can come up with for it. It was not overly long. It was fairly concise, but it was laser focused and had an absolute through line connecting Ukraine and Israel and America and the MAGA stuff at home, which he never said out loud. But he talked about, like, when you wind up with divisions and hatred and violence, which is the MAGA stuff at home, bad things happen and we all have to come together. And here's the trick he pulled off in this. He managed to keep strength. I'm going to motion at the camera because we're recording this now. Strength and love together.
Yeah.
Knit totally together. And he leads with the strength stuff, America's unshakable commitment to Israel. And he then does, and I'm going to say both sides, but both sides in the absolute best sense of the word. Can I read a passage for you? Is that okay?
Yeah. Can I just say, you don't mean, because the thing that was clear, I want you to read this passage, but like not both sides, but you can understand a little bit why the terrorists might feel this way. Not both sides like that. Both sides on the humanity of the Palestinian people and the Israelis.
And in America, right? So here, let me just read. It's like 3 quick paragraphs. Today, Jewish families worried about being targeted in school, wearing symbols of their faith, walking down the street, or going about their daily lives. I know many of you in the Muslim American community or the Arab American community, the Palestinian American community, and so many others are outraged and hurting, saying to yourselves, here we go again with Islamophobia and the distrust we saw after 9/11. Just last week, a mother was brutally stabbed, a little boy here in the United States, a little boy who had just turned 6 years old and was murdered in their home outside of Chicago. His name was Wadia, a proud American, a proud Palestinian American family. And here's the part I want to get. To all of you who are hurting, I want you to know I see you. You belong. And I want to say this to you. You're all America. You're all America. He's talking about like all of it, right? The Jews who are like afraid and have to have extra guards at their schools and synagogues these days, to Arab Americans, Palestinian Americans, and all of this exists alongside the, like, we are unshakably committed to Israel, and this stuff can't. It was great.
It was great. It's the best speech that he's given, and the reason that I liked it so much is that how. You've listened to me now for years beg for a kind of leadership that is a call to our highest selves. And our highest selves involves both knowing exactly who we are and what we stand for, and knowing that included in that, right, with the included in we are going to stand with our allies in democracy. We are going to also be the best example we can be as Americans of pluralism, of decency, of doing this thing that we do here where we all live together. He talked about like this thing that he's done now a couple times where he talks about, look, I called Netanyahu and said, after 9/11, like we were broken and enraged, and like that rage like we made some mistakes. Like we did the right thing, but we also made some mistakes, and like just sort of counseling this idea of he's not saying don't retaliate. He's not saying don't seek justice. He's not saying don't defend your people. He is just saying don't let the rage force you to make mistakes. And this is what I mean about like that. You know, Joe Biden may be old, but you're reminded in that moment that he's a grown-up. That he's a grown-up who says, just understand what you're doing. Like, take a moment and like make sure we're making the exact right decision. But he's not doing it, as you point out, by like equivocating or negotiating any sort of clear-eyed morality. It was one of those like callings to our highest selves that we just don't see that often.
It was fantastic. And can I say, it takes a great deal of strength to talk like that, right? This is only someone who is supremely confident in America can talk in such a clear-eyed way about America's mistakes, right? This is not a blame America first. This is not, lefty who hates America and really this is the most like quintessential form of patriotism. And it's so I want to read another passage for it to you. I'm sorry, but
don't be sorry.
He talks about earlier this year, I boarded Air Force One for a secret flight to Poland. There, I boarded a train with blacked out windows for a 10-hour ride each way to Kyiv to stand with the people of Ukraine ahead of the 1-year anniversary of their brave fight against Putin. Here I'm cutting. But when I exited that train and met President Zelensky, I didn't feel alone. I was bringing with me the idea of America, the promise of America to the people who are today fighting for the same things we fought for 250 years ago. Again, Reagan could have read that, right? This is in all of my, Biden has, at least on foreign policy, Biden has been the best and most successful conservative president since George H.W. Bush. Could we say that at least? Like,
I mean, Afghanistan is like a pretty big black mark, so
it is.
I don't know. But
look, absolutely, 100%. I'm with you, right? And we've written about this a bunch, and I say it whenever I make my list of like criticisms of Biden. That's.
I'm just saying that's why I'm not going to give him your like he's the best. But I will.
Reagan had Iran-Contra, right? I mean, everybody has, even the good ones have bad moments, and that was that was one of his big fuck ups. But in the two big tests, Israel and Ukraine, I mean,
he has been excellent.
So here's my question to you. Some of our anti friends, who primarily care about foreign policy, like the George W. Bush types, right?
Yep.
People who love George W. Bush in Republican circles, who hate Donald Trump, but have gone along with the Trump stuff and done all of the, but what about AOC, that sort of stuff. And a lot of these people, very, very hawkish on Israel too. Trump is on the other side of them on all foreign policy stuff. Biden is giving them everything they could ever hope for from an American president. Are any of them gonna like hop off the bench and say, hey, actually, Joe Biden, good presidenting. This is really good. And if Donald Trump's the nominee, we should all support Joe Biden because this one thing that we care about most in the world, American leadership, Biden is basically one of us, and Trump is not. Or are they going to just say, well, on the UPenn campus, there was a terrible statement put out by a bunch of socialist 25-year-olds.
There really has been some like pretty grotesque stuff on college campuses. And yet I do find it a little silly to watch like the anti-antis just exclusively focus on college campuses while not seeing that the president of the United States, who's is like rejecting all of that soundly and actually providing better leadership than we've seen in quite some time.
But also is providing the kind of leadership they want.
No, I agree.
That's the thing that drives me crazy. It's like that by their own lights, this is their dream president. And they can't bring themselves to just say it.
I don't know. Did you see? So one thing I saw last night, I caught like a little bit of the reaction and then stopped looking because I wanted to go watch the speech myself. But I saw Brit Hume say on Fox News that was the best speech of Biden's presidency by far. Now, maybe he went on to say, and that bar is very low or something else terrible. But like, I do think, and I have seen some, especially for the folks who are just like Israel's their number one issue. I have seen some support. Bret Stephens had an article recently about this being Biden's finest moment. And so I do think
Bret's an anti-Trumper.
He is.
So
he can get a little anti.
Really? Well, maybe. I just want more. I would like 5 of these guys to all stand up on the same day and say, hey, you know what? Really hate the student loan stuff. Think he spent too much money in the first omnibus spending bill. We don't like X, Y, and Z. We think Afghanistan was terrible. But on Ukraine and on Ukraine, we wish he would do more faster. But on this one, he's exactly in the right place, and we need more of this, and good on him. That's all.
It's not even, you don't have to say that. I mean, you don't have to just say on this he's in the right place. You could say like, he is obviously light years better than Donald Trump, and people should support him. Like, at this point, the contrast, like the contrast of like how things are on the world stage and who this man is versus who Donald Trump is. Like, if you can't see that clearly, and I do want to talk like in kind of a hacky way just for a second about some of the political implications of this. Been getting a lot of calls from reporters that are like, will this matter to swing voters? And like, look, I don't know what, like, we're a year out. So like swing voters are going to shape their opinions much later. They're not going to remember this speech in particular. But here's where I do think it matters. I think that Biden is clearly at his best right now because he believes strongly in what he's saying. Like, he has, in a way that I think he feels a little like, what is it these progressives are talking about? And like, what do you want to do? And how do I stand with everybody? But also, I don't know that I want to get into this whole thing about sports and transgender, like you can tell that he has been maybe a bit betwixt and between on trying to manage his coalition within the Democratic Party. But this is one of those issues where like, he's not trying to manage anything. He's telling everybody, you're following my lead. Like, you tell go, you say we are unequivocal. And like his whole administration is falling. They are being unequivocal. And because he believes it, because he understands it, right? Like, this is what he was like the head of the Armed Services Committee for a long time. Like, he is in his element. He knows what he's doing and he feels confident in his decisions, both like, I think morally, strategically, practically. And that is allowing him to be his best self in a way that I do think nobody's going to stop knowing Joe Biden's old, but I do think it could ameliorate a little bit the sense that like he is incapable of leading at this moment. I do think it could start to, assuming he kind of stays like this, I do think it could go a long way to just sort of people being like, I don't know, he seems okay.
I mean, it ought to. Like, he's traveling all over the world and giving these fantastic speeches, and I don't know.
Going into active war zones,
right? So did you see there was a Franklin Foer piece in The Atlantic this week about his hug Bibi strategy? Did you?
I did not read this.
And this, it again is one more case where Biden's interpersonal instincts wind up being just very, very good. So we had a year ago a Hamas-Israel conflict, maybe 2 years ago. It was 2021. It lasted for 11 days. And Biden has taken a very, very different approach to the Israelis than Obama did. Obama was sort of hectoring. And Biden's view is that what you should do is hug Netanyahu as tight as you can, and then you nudge him along to the things you want from a position of, hey, you know I'm on your side, right, bro? And one of the things one of the examples in Forrest's piece is, so when Biden was on the phone with Netanyahu, and Bibi was saying, and then we're going to do this, and Biden was like, okay, but then what? And sort of doing the Socratic dialogue with Bibi to try to help him see around corners a little bit better. And, I'm fully convinced one of the reasons Biden has successfully been able to get the Israelis to agree to turn the water back onto Gaza and start the humanitarian aid corridor is because right out of the gate, he hugged Netanyahu so hard and made it absolutely clear to the Israelis that he was going to be on their side.
Yeah.
And once they felt reassured by that, then he has the space and the ability to help say, hey, look, I understand you want to lay siege to this thing and go medieval on them, but that you can't do that. That's not good. Let's try this, right? And it's working. This is like diplomacy, and this is like these interpersonal relationships matter. And I'm sorry, it does matter that the other leaders laughed at Donald Trump when do you remember that
I do.
gathering? I don't remember what it was, and they were like sitting around like
at the UN, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was at one of like the G8s or something where they were like in a little. They were like all having a drink together, laughing at Trump. Yeah.
Yeah. It does matter. And it does matter having a guy who has relationships with them and who is himself thinking about how to manage those relationships instead of just getting played the way Trump was over and over because everybody else understood all you have to do is flatter him. Right?
Yeah.
Just flatter him and then he'll give you the store. Hey, Sarah, do you know there's actually more of the show?
Oh. There is? How much more?
There's more, so much more. All of the more. It goes on for hours. If people want to get the rest of the show, you know what they have to do, right?
I think they have to go to Bulwark Plus. Do they have to subscribe? What do they have to do? Yes,
they have to pay us money.
Oh, good.
Pay that man his money. And go to thebulwark.com and subscribe to become a member of Bulwark Plus.
All the good stuff's on the other side.
Bye.